I should say I'm just going to record this here and I'll throw it on the front of the show. But I just want to let people know we had a week where we got delayed. I was on vacation, but we're going to do every 2 weeks from now. So we're not going to do one next week to get back on schedule. We're just going to do it every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. I was like, oh, this is gonna be like another like '90s game. That's what I've been saying for years, and no one listens to me.
I hate all of you guys. Okay.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah. We'll do it live! Hello and welcome to 5 on 5, where 5 guys talk about a game under $5. This week we're talking about 1997 Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2 Electric Boogaloo is actually the full title of this game. This is the Robo So Nice They Named Him Twice Double Robo, aka Sean. I also have with me Dark Jedi Knight to Headhunter, aka Skylar.
Hello. Greetings, minions. Have you
I like
built
how
my
when
statue yet?
I like how when you're actually a Dark Jedi Knight, you do the least creepy voice that you've done on any of these intros.
Hello, children. Would you like to
play
a game?
That's gonna haunt my dreams for the rest of
Monster.
the future. I also have with me his apprentice, the Milk Chocolate Jedi Knight, Danger Whisk, aka Josh.
I'm space magically delicious.
10 scientists agree that you're actually made of white chocolate.
I also have with me everyone's favorite jump-slashing Twi'lek boss, Subtotal Broom, aka Evan, who has no teeth, apparently.
I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea what a Twi'lek or Twi'lek is.
He wasn't here for the inside joke that's based on.
Oh, you weren't here. You weren't here for the video of the Let's Play. Oh, that's so sad.
Similar to Star Wars. Twi'leks are the aliens with the head penises.
Yeah, they have the two. They have the two like giant tails that grow out of their head.
Oh, sweet.
Like that creepy guy in the opening video. You fight him later, and all he does is just jump slash the whole time.
Yeah.
Unless
it's fine.
Awesome.
Sequencers at the beginning of the fight. What?
I also have with me another special guest here instead of Jordan. Thank the Lord. We have the leader of the Rebel Forces, commander of the Jedi, and heartthrob to middle-aged women everywhere, Dread Pirate John, a.k.a. John. John, thanks for joining us.
Don't be fooled. I'm actually a droid.
Jordan hates Star Wars. That's why he's here.
Made for love.
Yeah.
A droid made for love.
I was not programmed to love.
Okay.
Nope.
So-
Still programmed for sex, though.
So yeah,
Wait,
Jordan's
you're
not
a
here this week.
flashlight?
Oh God. I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna edit around that or leave it in. I'm not sure.
Oh
yet.
my god. Yes, that's right. John Taylor's R2 do you. Full points to the Dread Pirate for coming up with that. I wish I could say it's mine, but it's not.
Josh taking the Skype chat and using it as his own joke. The BuzzFeed of the show.
Wait a second. I gave credit. where
Okay,
it was
so
due.
so you're better than BuzzFeed. Okay, that's fine.
I was gonna say I'm not Skylar.
What? Hold on. All my jokes are fully original.
No, Skylar's the 9-gag of the show. He's even worse than
Oh
that.
god.
Wow, I'm thoroughly insulted. A helicopter is flying around above Seattle when electrical malfunction oh wow, this is way too long of a joke to find on the internet and read on the show. Never mind.
Oh my god, this has been the worst intro of all time. John, thanks for joining us. John is on the show because Jordan was an idiot and was too busy with real life and school, teaching school, that is,
Sure.
this week.
Sure he was.
So,
That's what he
and-
wants you to believe. I struck him
Yeah.
down in combat and stole his amulet.
which is good. I think that's actually great. Only if you carved a statue to your dead father afterwards, though.
To quote
with
the
a
person who
lightsaber.
commented on Facebook that Jordan wasn't going to be on the show this week, yay.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like our audience knows us a little too well.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Before we get started, I just have this really quick to get everyone in the mood. Everyone get excited. Okay, that's all you get. Because I don't-
Right, copy, right.
yeah, I don't want to get sued, so that's all you guys get. And
You
that's
don't
the
need-
actual. Huh?
I was gonna say you don't need to get us in the mood with R2 do you around.
That one's the actual one from the soundtrack because the compressed version they had at the beginning made me cry.
Oh god, I was
I wish
so
it was
sad.
8-bit. I want some 8-bit Star Wars theme.
That would actually be really awesome. Okay, so let's get right into this. Let's talk about the story of this game really quick. So Dark Knight. Wait, Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. Oh my god, seriously?
It's
That was a
amazing.
long ass title. I was very confused. I was gonna say when we were buying this game, I looked at all of the Star Wars Jedi Knight games, and I was like, "Which one do I buy?" Oh, the one with the
It's
longest
like a
title.
super convoluted universe, as if Star Wars could get more convoluted. So this game is set 1 year after the events of Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. You play as Kyle Katarn. The Jedi are trying to rebuild after the destruction of the second Death Star and the fall of the Empire. Kyle starts the game by meeting an information broker droid who tells him his father was killed by a dark Jedi named Jarek, who has eyeliner on his cheeks, who wants to reestablish the Empire. You eventually get a lightsaber from your father and set out on an adventure to stop Jarek. Oh, does this story sound familiar so far? At the end of the game, you have a showdown with Jarek in the Valley of the Jedi. I lost my place. At the end of the game, you have a showdown with Jarek in the Valley of the Jedi where he is trying to draw on ancient secrets for more power. He offers you the choice to execute your friend Jan or die yourself, and the actions Kyle has taken up to this point as a player depend on what he does here. Either way, whatever one you choose, if you kill her or if you save her, you end up fighting Jarek either way. And if you're evil, you become the new Emperor, and if you're good, there's some sappy cutscene where he carves a memorial. So yeah, that's the story. Do we have anything in the situation room you want to talk about, Skylar?
My question to you is, do we ever not have anything in the situation room that I don't not want to talk about?
I don't know. How am I supposed to know you did your 4 minutes of research before the show? I'm
Because
never.
you were here
don't
when
know
I
if-
asked you what year this game was in and whether we played a different game from this year as well.
Don't break the fourth wall, Skylar. Stop it.
Sorry. I mean,
Oh shit, a
From
montage.
Colorado's news leader.
This is the Situation Room with Skylar. God help us all.
God help us all, indeed. Skylar has some useless facts from 1997 to share with us. Skylar,
Useless?
why don't you read from the teleprompter?
are you saying that
without saying,
cloning
"Fuck
is
you"?
useless? Are you saying that cloning is useless? Because in Scotland, Dolly the sheep was the first successful cloning of an adult mammal. Is that useless, Sean?
I only care if they can clone me, so that I can then fight myself in a duel and still have one of me survive.
I would much rather have sex with myself. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Oh my god.
I'd
Is
want
it-
to watch with both of us.
Is it incest if you have sex with yourself? I don't know.
No, it's
That's
just
a time loop
masturbation. It's
question.
just masturbation.
Okay. Anyway,
Man, there's been a lot of sex talk on the show. Skylar, keep going.
that was in Scotland, and I guess as a result, I'm going to assume Scotland also voted to create their own parliament after 290 years of union with England. I guess like cloning the sheep was the straw that broke the camel's back, and they were like, we're now strong enough to make our own parliament. On related news, Hong Kong killed all their chickens to stop the spread of a potentially deadly influenza strain known as the avian flu. You may have heard of it.
Whoa.
Yep.
Fuck you, chickens.
5 million chickens, apparently.
That's a lot of chickens.
Yeah.
almost
Steve
6 million.
Steve Jobs returned to Apple computers. Exciting. Also, Steve Jobs, I don't know if any of you knew this, but he was partially the creator of Breakout.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say he partially created the avian flu.
One of the potential game designers ever because he helped create one of the first games ever. Also, Mike Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's ear during a match and was suspended from boxing.
Did
Another
they clone him a new ear?
I hope
Yes.
so.
Named to Dolly.
Dolly the ear.
Also in world record news, very important records here, that's why I had to include them. The biggest spherical bubble was created in Berlin, Germany, 2.3 meters. I assume that's been broken since 1997.
But not the biggest triangular
Bubble,
bubble,
bubble.
because that one,
Spherical, yep.
yeah, the
I-
biggest triangular bubble worked out.
You're gonna tell us about the world's biggest turnip. I don't know if that was 97, but I
There were
kinda
no
hope.
vegetables in 97, sadly, that I could find.
I love the idea of like Skylar searching for like 1997 vegetable records and then not finding anything, and just like dejectedly looking at his computer, like, oh.
It's really what happened. Oh, I guess I missed these completely, but now see them. The notorious B.I.G. was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting.
I was gonna say,
No,
you got the
Biggie.
world's biggest bubble over Biggie?
I
Really?
Also, Harry Potter, the first book, was released. That's
Again,
important.
my point
Again.
still stands.
I mean, those aren't important. Mother Teresa died. Not important. Tony Blair. Not important.
Did Mother Teresa also die in a drive-by?
In Calcutta, so I assume so.
Okay, let's
Anyway,
move on to something
Speedrun
else.
Corner. Welcome to the Speedrun Corner. Do you have a bumper for the Speedrun Corner?
You know what? I don't have a bumper for the speedrun corner. Let's see, what else? What could we use? How about...
Hey, has it been about 10 seconds since we looked at our lemon tree?
So since it only takes 10 seconds to do a speedrun, we'll go with that.
No, it's true. Okay, so Speedrun Corner. This game, sped-runned, I assume that's the technical term, in 25 minutes and 57 seconds on hard.
Wow.
By Random NG and Exploding Cabbage. It's a segmented speedrun, which means they do each level individually at the fastest time and then splice them together. It's the way you do really technical speedruns without having to be ridiculously lucky getting the entire run in one go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A lot of people think it's cheating, though, and I kind of agree, but at the same time, like with a game that's this technical, it's almost impossible to get a good run without segmenting it. So anyway, there's a bunch of cool tricks in this game and glitches that I assume you guys didn't know about. In a lot of old games, you run faster if you go backwards or diagonally. So almost the entire game they run diagonally to get increased speed. Like it's same in almost all Doom-like games.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Is that because like the internal engine is like adding the sideways and forward movement vectors and you're like moving faster? Or,
yeah, I think so.
Like is
That
that just
might
like That's really interesting. Okay, keep going.
Yep. Yeah, like the entire Ocarina of Time speedrun is almost done entirely backwards.
Well, yeah, but and it's done backwards because then you hit double, or then you can backflip, which is way faster than.
Anyway, there's also a thing called a snap jump, where if you're running in a direction and you instantly turn your mouse to a direction and jump at the same time, you maintain your velocity, so you can jump really far in random directions that aren't the way you were running. If you jump up ramps, you jump significantly higher because the game just adds your height to your upward velocity already. Or it just multiplies your upward velocity rather than just like setting it to a specific amount. So you could jump
Which
really
is
high.
probably especially important in a game like this where you like went slower on ramps.
Yeah, no, and they found so many like things they could jump by and stuff that was crazy. And you can also jump on water without losing speed or taking damage if you like jump on the very top of it.
Huh.
And yeah, you
Interesting.
use explosives to boost your jumps, which they did a ton of explosive boost jumping.
Was
to
there
like areas that they couldn't normally get to.
was there any stuff like in the Zelda speedrun where where they like glitched through walls or like did any stuff like that, or was it all like in-engine stuff?
There's some clip stuff. I assume there's a late level where you have to wait for this really slow box to fall from the ceiling, and there's a point where you could clip through it and skip like almost the entire box part.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then like when you beat a level, there's like 15 seconds after you hit the level trigger before the level ends, and they frequently used that to like collect items and stuff throughout the level.
Oh, cool.
It was pretty cool. And the way they killed bosses was that they got sequencers, which were like these mine things that explode, and they would collect them throughout the game. And then when they got to the last two bosses, they would place like 10 sequencers on the ground, lure the boss to them, and then the sequencers don't deal enough damage to kill the boss, but they gave the boss enough like additive explosive velocity that any surface the boss hit would instantly kill it.
That's hilarious.
Amazing.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah, so they killed both the last two bosses in one hit, just using sequencers to hit them into a wall.
Oh, that's awesome.
Also, this is one of the few games where you can take damage by running full speed into a wall.
I noticed that, and I kept thinking, like, on the one hand, plus bonus points for realism, but on the other hand, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that was awesome. I love whenever we can talk about the speedrun corner because I just find speedrunning to be such an interesting community. That I don't do any speedrunning myself, although I think Skylar, you do, right? You've done like Super Monkey Ball and some
Super
other stuff.
Monkey Ball 2, 1 hour. The record's 30 minutes though, so I still have a ways to go. But it was good. Hours to 2 hours to 1 hour to 54 minutes.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's what's fascinating to me about the speedrunning community. Like, as somebody who like swam on like teams in like middle and high school and was on like our high school team, because it's all about that like chasing that perfect time and like shaving down as much like even shaving 1/10 of a second is a huge deal in swimming. And so like the speedrunning community of like I did this 1/10 of a second faster by doing this one lucky sideways jump that went further than whatever. Like I think that's a really interesting thing. So.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, and it's like it's not even that much about fighting glitches. It's more just about like fully exploring games and using their controls and their programming to its like full potential, which is really interesting to me because I
Basically
program so much.
Can you get a
Yeah.
perfect playthrough?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, well, and it gives life to games that are old, which I think is
It really
cool,
does.
too.
Right.
Like
So-
Ocarina of Time is a good game, but it would not be as popular as it is now if it wasn't for the speedrunning community.
Yeah. Or, thanks to speedrunners, you have stuff like the patch that we got that let us be able to play this game so well on modern hardware.
Yeah, because that was on the speedrunning forum, right, where I found that?
Exactly, yeah, because people still want to be able to play these games, and so when LucasArts isn't giving support to it, they're able to, kludge together these patches that work, and I it's just a really interesting dynamic. So I'm always glad when we can have speedrun corner stuff. I love talking about it in Hitman, and really, if you haven't watched it yet, go watch the Zelda Record speedrun that's got the voiceover from like 3 prominent Zelda speedrunners. It was so fascinating.
It's by Cosmo
Really,
at
really
this year's
interesting.
Speed Demos or Speedruns Live. Summer Games Done Quick. I don't know what I'm talking about. Awesome Games Done Quick. It's a marathon
Yeah.
where they put out some speedruns, and he did a video of Ocarina of Time. He basically tells the whole history of it, and it's really cool. Go find it.
Yeah, that was so cool. It was like he was telling the history about like, oh, nobody thought you could get past this without this glitch, and then somebody found it, and then and he's like giving the whole history of like Zelda speedrunning while it's going through this like 17-minute video that like I could not take my eyes off of. It was amazing. So anyway,
It was so cool. Anyway, what game did we play?
we played
Jedi
Zelda
Force
Ocarina of
Two.
Time. No, wait,
Angry
just kidding. We
Birds,
played
right?
Jedi
Angry
Knight Dark
Birds.
Forces 2. Yeah, we played Angry Birds Star Wars this week.
Is that
So John, you
LucasArts?
want to? Yeah, exactly. John, do you want to talk about the history of this game?
Sure. All right. So LucasArts was the maker of this game. They released it in 1997 in what I consider to be really the golden age of Star Wars. You've got all the Hand of Thrawn trilogies coming out, and all the expanded universe has all the fantastic writing going on in it. So it's really like a good time for Star Wars before it eventually started going cheesier and tackier, and before the whole Phantom Menace debacle.
What about the Disney debacle?
We'll get to that later. But let's see. So this was the first game that really prominently focused on Jedis and Jedi powers at all. It was also the first of the Jedi series to feature online and multiplayer access. And we'll cover that a little bit later. But there were some really cool features that they added in there for doing battlegrounds and capture the flag. It was a 3D game. It featured state-of-the-art 3D accelerations and great scoring by John Williams. And when you go and look at the cast that actually did the live-action FMVs for the recordings of the movies, Kyle Katarn was on some crime and medical mystery shows just prior and just after. But all the IMDb covers look almost pornographic in nature. And
Let's
all the
let's just say he got deep into that genre. Here, wait. I'll play it for myself.
Thank you.
I think the droids make that sound if you shoot them. Yeah, but it seems like going through the cast, they actually used a lot of minor celebrities, people who were featured on Nip Tuck and all kinds of other really prominent shows and series over the next couple of years. So all the evil Jedi lords and voices that they got to voice act them later went on to have fruitful careers, whereas Kyle Katarn just kind of fell off the face of the earth.
He was too busy making statues for his dad.
There you go. That's probably a lifetime endeavor right there. Game got about 87% aggregate score on game rankings and 91% on Metacritic. PC Gamer rated it the best game ever in 1997. It only got dethroned the next year by Half-Life, which...
What an unfortunate time to get put on that list.
Right?
Oh, hey, they got a solid year of fun to enjoy. So the spiritual successors to the game later became the Jedi Knight and Jedi Academy games, which featured a lot more of starring of Kyle Katarn, who is one of my favorite protagonists in the expanded Star Wars universe. So he's kind of the Han Solo of Jedis, where he's just kind of doing his own thing, doesn't really understand his Jedi powers, and gradually becomes a Jedi Lord over time. He intersects constantly with a lot of the smuggler and a lot of the Jedi hijinks that are going on with Luke Skywalker and Leia in the regular stories. So it's good stuff.
Jedi Academy was always one of those games that I wanted to play, like that I saw and I was like, oh, this looks really cool, and then I never really did, and I kind of want to go see how that turns out now because I think it sounds pretty interesting.
It's pretty slick. This was definitely a good experiment in what force powers would look like in a video game, and they did a good job of implementing it.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Sean.
Oh, go, Skylar. No, go.
Well, because I have to always say unrelated things. Someone who voice acted in this game who played Bach was Time Winters. I think that's like the coolest name I've ever heard.
That sounds like a character name in like Firefly or something.
He was also acted in a movie called Hollywood Seagull, which the only storyline is what happens when your mother's boyfriend kisses your girlfriend.
Wow.
Starring Steven Seagal.
Oh, yeah. That'd be the new thing. Like everything be starring Steven Seagal.
I hope so, because I love Steven Seagal movies. I think they're terrible and awesome at the same time. Okay, so John, I had a question for you, and if this discussion takes too long, I might edit it down a little bit. But I'm interested in, I've never been really involved in the extended universe stuff, and I don't think anyone else here really has either. But I'm interested in like, what are your thoughts about the, Disney essentially saying like none of that extended universe stuff exists?
I think it's probably, if they're looking to do a reboot or a restart of the series, it probably makes sense to do. Disney's traditionally done a good job of storytelling other people's stories. At this point, everything's been retconned or so explored in depth and atrociously in many ways that it makes sense to undo all of the canon and nitty-gritty. It still makes for excellent reading and excellent gameplaying, but I think as a marketing move, it makes sense for Disney to go through later and just say, no, none of that happened. Here we go with the new stuff.
You seem like you're not horribly bitter about Disney making new Star Wars movies, which I'm surprised by, because most people I know who are into Star Wars are horribly bitter.
I'm not bitter at it. I don't think it's happened yet. It hasn't happened, so how do we know?
We had until 2013 to grow up with all the Star Wars stuff. We got all of the good movies to grow up on. We got all the good games. They can kind of do what they want now. I don't consider my childhood raped because they can't undo everything that we got to enjoy.
Yeah,
that's true.
I think so too. I think that idea that like later stuff that's not as good ruins all the earlier stuff that's good. I don't think that's true. I think that like we remember a game like this because it was good. We don't remember the 35 other Star Wars games that were horrible because they weren't good, and so they just didn't exist. Like I think that it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing, and really for me as an outsider, someone who likes the movies, who likes the Star Wars universe but hasn't gotten into the extended universe, it's kind of like what they did with Marvel and with the like Avengers stuff, where it's like that because I'm not a hardcore comic fan and didn't follow all of those storylines and the reboots and all of the crazy stuff that's happened in the Marvel universe, it's nice for me for them to be like, okay, this is all reset and we're going to pull from that universe for stories, but we're not going to stick to the canon of like, well, this character can't be in the same place as this character because they died in this alternate timeline, whatever. Like, I kind of like that approach as a person who's not part of the extended universe.
I agree with that for sure.
I mean, definitely. I like, Star Wars as it is. I never got into the Clone Wars thing because I actually thought that was kind of atrocious. But
I actually heard that got kind of good later. Like I heard the early stuff was kind of cheesy. But
I thought Clone Wars was cool while it was a cartoon, and when they did the 3D, and any interest I had in it disappeared. But
3D kills my interest pretty quick too.
Well, because it went from being a Gennady Tartakovsky cartoon, which is good. I like that. I liked Samurai Jack. I like what Tartakovsky
every
does.
Cartoon he's ever made. Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls.
And then and then it went to like this weird like pseudo 3D like we're trying to cash in thing. But that aside, I think new movies could be a good thing. I think there's still a lot of life left in Star Wars, and I think that Disney handled the Avengers well, and Disney doesn't make terrible movies. They may not be great, but they're not, but a lot of their animated stuff is still, the best around. I'm willing to wait and give the benefit of the doubt. I'm more upset that they killed LucasArts.
Yeah, I actually don't know how that's going to turn out. I kind of feel like we're remembering the LucasArts of old that made good stuff, and I'm kind of the camp of like the stuff that they have done in the last 6 years has been a lot of that like Clone Wars cash-in type stuff, and
That's
so I'm
true.
I'm kind of more interested in them as a publishing house about, like, you know, if Double Fine comes to them and says, we want to do this, can you publish it? I think that's more interesting than LucasArts internally doing it. So I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing. I feel mixed about it. Like, I don't ever like it when games people lose their jobs, but
I'm just very upset because there was a game coming out called Star Wars First Assault, which was eventually turned into Star Wars Battlefront 3, and you can find video that the team put out once they got canned of it, and it's glorious looking. It looks like
I would not be surprised if that got snatched up. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. Is
Disney refused to sell it. Volition tried to pick it up. And Disney said, no, we're just canning the whole project. We don't want to sell it.
Well, that doesn't mean that it won't happen in the
future. I hope it makes its way out. But that's the saddest part for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the stuff that's in production might be sad. I lost a lot more interest in 1313 once they announced it was supposed to be a Boba Fett game, because I'm tired of the Boba Fett stuff. Bounty Hunter was a cool game, but I would have liked it more if it wasn't Jango Fett, if you've got to play someone different. So anyway, so that's our giant, like, I guess that kind of fits in the what's your history with this game, because we got to talk about, like, what's your history with Star Wars stuff. And I'm really glad that John's here to give us the extended universe perspective, because I think that this kind of stuff, you know, I mean, you had the movies, and the third one was 83, right? Or 84?
83, I think.
And then between then and the prequel movies, like, especially like the prequel announcement, you didn't have anything really in the universe, and so you had this little stuff that would get, you know, created. You had Rogue Squadron, you had a game like this, you had what's the other FMV one? Where you're a pilot.
There was a bunch of them. There was the old Shadows.
Yeah, X-Wing Fighter and TIE Fighter.
Oh,
you had those games. Like, you had cool little kitschy stuff that, like, kept Star Wars fans hooked between, you know, the old movies and the new movies, and I think that that's kind of a cool community of, like, people that kept that lore going. So anyway, I think that's cool. I'm glad we have John here for that perspective. But let's talk really quick. We've already talked about our history with the Doom style games and other stuff, so I wanted to take this time to mention what's your favorite LucasArts game. As like Josh mentioned, LucasArts has since been closed, at least as a development studio. And a lot of people lost their jobs, which is pretty sad. But I want to talk about what's your favorite LucasArts game. So Skylar, you start. I'm going to put this on in the background.
Well, my friends, my favorite LucasArts game by far is Sam & Max. And I don't know if any of you have played any Sam & Max games, but I was never like a point-and-click kind of guy. But Sam & Max is like my favorite. I like loved that game, and it like made me want to play more point-and-click games because like they're hilarious and awesome. If you've never played Sam & Max, you should. And if we ever find single episodes on sale, we're totally doing one for the show.
Yeah. Evan, what's your favorite LucasArts game?
Oh, that's tough. It'd probably have to be maybe like Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Oh,
or maybe like one of the Lego Star Wars was pretty epic. But back when I was in middle school, like all we played was Battlefront 2 with my friends. We would play for hours.
Yeah, Battlefront 2 is an awesome game.
Yeah, it's so much better than the first one too.
Yeah, I agree. John, what's your favorite LucasArts game?
I'd have to say Zombies Ate My Neighbors. That game was so underappreciated.
That's a good game. It's a really old game. You're old, John!
It's all good.
Josh, what's your favorite LucasArts game?
You know, it's a toss-up. I want to say the one I played most was probably TIE Fighter. But I'm going to have to go with either Day of the Tentacle or Full Throttle. Both old school point-and-click adventure games. And Day of the Tentacle, it's so sharp and it's so funny.
Yeah. For me, I want to throw an honorable mention to Battlefront 2 because I played that game a ton. But I think the game that really that I ended up playing the most and that meant the most to my Star Wars like love was Rogue Squadron on the N64. I loved that game. I bought it like as soon as I watched the original 3 movies with my dad for the first time when I was like 6 or so. This is like extra poignant because of the amazing grace behind it. But it was really something that my dad and I shared, and we didn't have a lot in common. And so loving Star Wars has meant a lot to me in my life, and I really value that game because it came along at a point where I was super excited about the movies, and then I also got to watch this or play this game, and like you're going through a lot of the same places that you see in the movies, and so it was just kind of this really cool moment of like realizing the power of like connected media and the fact that like it's really cool to have a movie and a game that isn't just a total cash-in piece of shit, but that's actually like a good thing that uses what's powerful about like the movies and whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I remember the Hoth battle in Rogue Squadron.
Yes.
It's like the most intense level I'd ever played.
Oh, it's so good. That game is so good. Go download that on an emulator if you haven't played it before. That game is awesome.
Or pay for it.
I don't think you can get a version unless you have an N64.
It's on Windows. Like there is a PC version.
Oh, it is awesome. Never mind.
It came out. I have no idea when it came out, but
I thought it was only in 64. Okay, I lied. Don't download an emulator. Go pay for it because that game's good. So let's move on really quick to top moments. So let's talk about stuff that we liked in the game or mechanics in the game. I have first on here Josh to talk about the graphics and the full motion video. So why don't you talk about that really quick, Josh?
So the graphics are, pretty much what you'd expect from 1997. Very blocky, very chunky.
They're like Doom graphics.
Well, that's right. Repeating textures. I don't think there was a single room that wasn't square. This was a time before circles were, and really, multi-edge shapes were around. But
those are hard to make, let me tell you.
I was going to say, yeah.
After having graphics experience, those are not easy.
But for 97, not bad for 97.
Not at all. And they look better than Doom. Like, you could definitely see improvement from
absolutely.
Doom.
It's somewhere between Doom and Half-Life, which came out a year later. But, the graphics are good. The weapons are satisfying. They look good in that sense. Just like any FPS, you get your little, gun in the side of your screen, and they look fine, and they look Star Wars. There's a bunch of different types of aliens in the game, and they're all pretty recognizable to the movie. It's not like you wouldn't be like, that's a Twi'lek, or that's a whatever is not a Twi'lek, I'm sorry, I don't remember.
I think this was really the first time for me in a mainstream game where like you saw representations of lots of different types of aliens. I think the one that sticks out the most to me in that is Knights of the Old Republic. Was the first time that I really like kind of dove into like, oh, now I know that those are called Gamorreans and those are called Twi'leks and those are called whatever, because you had like actual extensive time with them instead of just like, here, we're going to fill this bar with lots of weird looking aliens that we're never going to return to. The other thing I was going to say about the graphics really quick is I've been playing Minecraft a lot lately because my brother and I set up a Minecraft server to play on.
Oh, we should play.
And it was really fun, but this totally looked like a Minecraft texture pack. Like it was exactly that style of like, here's a block
graphics.
And we're going to cover it's just like 4 sides covered with flat textures and whatever. So the whole time I kept thinking like it was a Minecraft texture pack because it was like that same resolution and whatever. So anyway, okay, you want to talk about the FMV really quick?
Yeah. And so all of the games our cutscenes are FMVs, which means live actors, real sets for the most part, some green screening. But, live actors, which you've seen like the old Wing Commander or Command and Conquer games, which is not really something done now anymore, but it's super fun because they're all cheesy, but great cheesy, and it's just fantastic. And this is one of the first games that really had, 3D characters, well rendered 88 the robot and, all that, talking to Kyle and stuff like that. And they're fun, they're not good movies, but they're fun movies.
It's fitting that your mic turned you into a robot immediately when you were talking about bad movies.
Well, it's fun, and the acting is special. I'm not sure what else to say. This isn't a Twi'lek with no teeth, but it's good. And one of the things
don't worry, I have plenty of good clips of the awesome cheesiness, and I loved that the most about it. I thought it was great.
That said, though, one of the coolest things I think about this game is that each level starts off immediately when a cutscene ends. So, in the very first cutscene, Kyle grabs a guy and flips him over a table, and his buddy runs. And when the level starts, it starts with a dude running out of the room when there's a body on the table. Like,
yeah, that was
all
awesome.
of the cutscenes are like that, where you pick up immediately on the action. It's not like Halo, where there's a cutscene and then it fades out, and then the level starts.
Then you're randomly in space. So you're like, oh, hello.
That's right. With this, it's like exactly what you see is what you get, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Okay, so we didn't play any of the multiplayer for this because it was kind of complicated to set up, but the best thing about having John here was that he played a lot of the multiplayer when the game actually came out. So John, do you want to start talking about kind of what the multiplayer was like, what the scene was like, how hard it was, kind of all that kind of stuff?
Oh, definitely. So I remember playing this on my old 486 computer, and then later on the Pentium 1 that I got. So my brother and I set up a mini LAN back in the day when that was really difficult to do, back before LAN parties really kicked off, back before you could really move your computers around with these. So he and I would just play this game over and over, and the multiplayer had some really cool features about it. You could play Capture the Flag, which when you're only playing a 1v1 is pretty lame, but the battle arenas were awesome. And the game had a reputation for being easily hacked because all of your player configuration files are all stored locally. So you could go through and, in the multiplayer game, you get to set your level of force powers. You can choose what kind of alignment you've got and what kind of powers you've got. But you could later then go through and then hack that notepad file to give your force powers 999 power. So force destruction, which would normally shoot just like a little ball, would become this aura of destruction that would just kill anything that walks in range of you. It was like the old Diablo 1 player killers. It was fantastic.
That's awesome.
You boost your force push, so you glance at someone and just knocks them across the room and into blades. Incredible. There's also this really, really intricate, almost a pet-based Pokemon-style theme that they incorporated into the game, where you could collect the little droids and little Twilight hatchlings, which was pretty cool.
I'm glad that my horrible troll that I wrote in the document made it into the podcast somehow.
Yeah, well, there's truth to it. Of course there is. I mean, you have to play the game to really get a true grasp of what that was like in the multiplayer, but let's just say it was a fantastic addition.
Was Ash's real last name Skywalker, and they just had to change it for copyright purposes?
Dumbass.
Oh, excuse me.
So, yeah, the multiplayer was great. There were a lot of good weapons to choose from. You start with default by a lightsaber, which is not quite as clumsy as a blaster. It's a very elegant weapon, but it makes
an elegant weapon from a more civil time?
before the Disney.
You should just make sure when you first get it, you should look right down the barrel of it, though. Make sure you do.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, so top moments, I think, are the pointiness of your lightsaber. All the 2D images in the cutscenes or in the animations look really nice. It's a good-looking lightsaber. It's like charged with lightning bolts and whatever. Completely unrealistic. Then you actually get into the game, and you're just like wielding this giant pointy stick that's like 6 feet long in front of you. It's like stabbing people with a needle.
John knows what that's like in real life too.
It's true. Multiplayer, yeah, it's fantastic. It actually, like I said earlier, it was one of the first games that actually incorporated multiplayer into its game system. You can do it over the internet, you can do it over local LANs, and it's pretty easy to set up nowadays. But it's a lot of fun just to go back and revisit that multiplayer.
How was the over the internet stuff? Did you end up doing any of that with your brother, or?
I had played like 1 or 2 games over the internet once upon a time, but local LAN was always really easy. There were a couple good remakes of old scenes that you're used to, like the Emperor's Throne Room, for instance, and a couple places in, I want to say, Cloud City.
I was going to say it's probably a Cloud City map.
Yeah.
But all the good multiplayer really came with the later games, when you get a lot more action-paced stuff.
Like Jedi Academy, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because this old game, it's old, and you definitely recognize some of its flaws for being early internet multiplayer. So they use a lot of dead reckoning or a lot of just cheesy stuff that you can't really accomplish well in a multiplayer without generations of technology to build upon. But they did a good job.
Yeah. Go for it.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was just like kind of surprised that when I started the game for the first time that there was a multiplayer option at all.
Mhm.
You know, I was just assuming with a lot of older games that just wasn't really there at all. I didn't think
Yeah.
multiplayer was popular till maybe at least a few years later.
There was a good following. This was about the time that StarCraft came out, so there was a lot of
That's true.
good,
That's true. I didn't really think about that.
like old school Diablo. So they were making efforts at it.
I don't know. I thought Call of Duty 4 was the first game that ever had multiplayer, so that was news to me. I don't know.
You mean Blops 2?
COD flops. Okay, so speaking of weapons, Skylar, do you want to talk about the weapon system and the force powers?
I thought the guns were pretty cool. They were kind of varied as far as the blocky graphics go. They did a good job of like distinguishing them between each other, and I don't know, they were pretty fun. Force powers were cool too. I only really experienced the light side power ups because I was like all speed running. So and force speed was like hell yes, I just want to get that and run really fast. And granted, it makes you run really freaking fast. But yeah, there were a bunch of cool powers. The light side had like persuasion as well and like a protection shield and bunch of cool stuff. One of you could talk more about the dark side, but what I really want to talk about relating to this stuff is the controls of the game, because we haven't really mentioned that, but they're like really, really good. I thought they were super tight, and like there was never a time where I was like, the controls are stopping me from doing well in this game. Which with a lot of the games we've played, I felt like that pretty often.
Yeah, sure. I definitely thought that, like, you know, you kind of got to jump in the game and you didn't have to like sit and be like, okay, I have to figure out all these controls now. You know, you don't have to sit and prep everything. I mean, I just kind of hit the ground running with this game, and I never really experienced any control issues.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The only thing that was weird about mine, which Sean apparently didn't have, so I don't know if this is supposed to be like this, but my default was that right click was bound to jump.
Yep,
Yeah, I had
that was
that
me
too.
too.
Okay, I guess Sean just
Huh.
never tried right click, maybe.
I guess. I don't
Because you
know.
said you found like X was jump as well.
X is
Yeah,
jumping
there
Yeah,
are
X-
two,
Oh,
X was
so
jump and
that's
I
why.
rebounded to spacebar.
Okay, well I
and
never
also like
used
left
X. I
click
just-
and Z both shoot.
Yeah, okay. So it was like you can play it however you want.
Yeah, you can play it with
guess.
or without the mouse, pretty much.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I've got
I mean,
a force
I-
power story.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, go
is
for
it a
it,
Dark
Josh.
Force power story?
You could say so.
Okay.
So when I was in high school,
Oh my god, what?
Uh-oh.
this is a great story. This is a great story. We
Anytime
went
Josh
to
says
the-
this is a great story, I automatically assume it's not a great story.
We
Get,
went
the,
to
get the
the-
sound clip ready.
as I do most years, we went to the Denver Science Fiction Convention. And we had this friend who was of the female gender, who she wasn't that big into nerdy stuff, but she was debating going. And we convinced her to go, and we said, come on, it'll be great, you know, it'll be fun, you'll have nothing to worry about. So she finally agreed to go, and the first thing that happens when we walk through the door is a guy wearing a Sith robe walks up to her, stares at her chest, reaches out his hand and points at her boobs and yells, "Force power!" That's the end
Wow.
of the story. And then she never went to another one again. That's a great story, whatever. So, and she immediately turned around and wanted to go home. And that was the last time I ever got her to go to a science fiction convention.
Evan, you want to talk about the level design? And I have in quotes puzzle solving, although let's be fair, it's not really there. It's like let's look for this touchpad that I can't find. Was my
Walk around the
experience
game
with
for
puzzle
hours till you find the blocky thing that's a touchpad.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
levels, I mean, there wasn't a lot of variation in levels. Usually say a good pattern of like small hallways, big room, small hallways, and then a big room. And with the quote unquote puzzle solving, I would not really say that it is puzzle solving at its best. There are definitely puzzles in the game, but it's much
How to
more
shoot that guy
about
in the face.
wandering around until you find the right path again. And I always kind of knew like where I was going just because I always base it on if I'm finding more people to shoot, I'm going the right way.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah, that
if
was
I'm
kind of
running
what I
around-
figured out.
If I'm running around and like I can't find anyone, I'm like, okay, I know I'm lost now. But yeah, like I would say that the levels were really cool though. I thought that they were just like well designed. I thought they were all very different from each other. But there wasn't anything that was very challenging, I guess.
Yeah. John, did you have a point about the levels you were going to make?
Still holding out for my my missed Dark Forces 2 crossover.
Now that I would play. That would be awesome.
Where the
Oh my
hell
god.
am I?
Like
Maybe
a Star
now that Disney's
Wars...
taking over, they can reboot it.
Like, imagine the Star Wars universe, but like LA Noire style gameplay where you're like solving mysteries and stuff. Like, oh, that would be so awesome. Anyway, sorry. I just love LA Noire. I wish that game had been bigger so that more games would do that like new 3D point and click adventure.
You know what would be better than LA Noire? Scooby-Doo the game.
There were a lot of Scooby-Doo games. I played them pretty
what?
much all the
Really?
time I was a kid. Yeah, there were tons of good Scooby-Doo games.
Yeah,
Were they
I
like
mean, they were
LA
good.
Noire style though, where you're solving
No.
mysteries, or were they just like action adventure?
Well, you were solving mysteries. I mean, I'm sure there were some platformers and stuff, but I don't play platformers.
Oh,
no,
really? I
There
had
were
no
some
idea.
there was like one that I remember specifically that was at like a haunted theme park, and you had to like find clues and then like put them together and whatever. And I mean, it was basic because I was 7 years old, but I remember liking it a lot.
So what
Yeah,
game?
Scooby-Doo are kids'
That'd be
games.
sick.
I also want to point out my favorite enemy were the ones that would like hide behind a wall and then start punching you in the back when you walked past the wall. Those were my favorite enemy. You guys didn't see any of those? Where like they would be like around a corner and there would be like a slot for them to spawn in, and then they would just like walk up behind you and start punching you.
So apparently,
Yeah.
another fun factoid, which is a theory that a guy has about the game, not necessarily guaranteed to be true, but he thinks so, which is that because in one part of the speedrun they skip a trigger that spawns enemies, but it doesn't actually trigger a spawn because all the enemies are already in the level invisible but inactive. So like once they don't hit the trigger, they have to run through the level dodging, like running into random invisible things that are just standing still enemies. So I guess the creators couldn't spawn enemies in, so they just put all the enemies in the level on load, invisible and inactive, and then like activate them.
That's
That's
so
awesome.
weird.
Hilarious.
I think that's actually probably I don't think it's that they couldn't spawn. I think it's probably because the 3D acceleration stuff was so taxing that they probably didn't want to put in spawning technology. It probably was a lot easier to just do that, to like load the whole level ahead of time.
Right.
But anyway, that's really interesting. Okay, so last thing
Was anybody
is
able to
sound
get this
clips.
game to play full
sorry.
screen, by the way?
Yeah, my game
Yeah.
played full screen, just not
I
the.
mean, it would play on the full screen, but it was always in windowed mode.
Oh, mine wasn't.
Well,
Mine was
That
always
was-
full screen except for the menu.
Yeah, you
It
just had to
wasn't-
set some launch options.
Yeah, you could.
It wasn't-
toss
it wasn't
in
that it was
some
in windowed
parameters for
mode.
Shortcuts.
it wasn't that it was in window mode. It was that the hack that Skylar posted in Facebook was a what was it? It was it like took the UI and scaled it up to 1080p, but the only way it could do that was making it a window that was invisible on top of the
Gotcha.
thing. So that's why it looked like it was in windowed mode.
Right.
I got way too deep into Star Wars forums trying to get this thing to work because I spent like 4.5 hours trying to get this to play on my computer, and I finally got it to work on my laptop thanks to John, but it was a long process until then.
Had
But
that
those
shit
I'm-
games
crashing no
just
matter
copy and
what.
paste the whole directory and to make them work.
Yeah, into Dropbox, which was awesome. Okay, so my first clip that I have here is titled Jedi Knight WTF Audio Director, because they did this annoying thing where they like took songs and then just like spliced in other songs after, like at weird points, and it really, really pissed me off. So here's the first one of those.
Oh God,
Doesn't that hurt your soul? It's
that
like
was
watching.
awful.
I was like watching the credits scroll, and it was like they didn't have as much story to tell as the movies did, so they just like cut it. But they cut it in like the middle of a chord, and like I'm like, one of two things: find a good place to splice that, or make your credits crawl longer or slower. Like it's not like they couldn't have told more story. Like the credits crawl was
Yeah.
really loose on story, so they could have just made it 2 paragraphs longer, and then had the song play out just fine. And then this was the second part where they did it. I had to capture this too. What?
Uh.
What? What? What?
Right
What?
there.
You're gonna play the whole lead up to the Death Star getting exploded, and then you don't resolve that chord? Like, okay,
That one's
that's
a
my
little
frustration.
physically
Okay, that's the end of my frustration. Like I always do, I captured some battle sounds, and at the end of this was the sound that made my ears bleed, which was finding the objective, and I was not ready for this sound, and then it scared the shit out of me. I was like,
It's like
not
a game
prepared
over
for that
sound right there.
I know, it was really bizarre. I was like, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? I don't know. And then it was like, objective found, and I was like, oh, so that's the sound for like finding stuff that you're supposed to find? This, I accidentally shot some lady because I thought she was a bad guy, and she made this sound, and I thought it was really funny. I just thought that was a silly sound. Okay. The next thing that I captured was something from the intro, and I thought he called this guy Ron, and I thought that was a funny name for a Jedi.
Why hesitate? Strike me down.
In time, Ron. First, I need something from you.
Ron and his fellow Jedi, Harry.
I know it. Like, I wanted a whole side story that was about, like, the noble Jedi, Ron Smith, or something.
Have you ever seen that? YouTube video, Jedi Assholes? Like,
No, but that
it's
sounds
about
awesome.
like two like Orange County Jedi who are just jerks, and like all I can imagine is like now that one of them should be named Ron and the other should be named Chad, and their enemy is Darth Blake, who
I think
only
that's
shops
great.
at
Especially
Paxton.
because, like, Star Wars is like notorious for having its like random name generator names that are like, very specific to the type of race that somebody is. Like, if you know a lot about Star Wars, you can hear somebody's name and like know what type of character they are and whatever. And I just thought that was funny.
Evil Vicious.
Yeah.
There is nothing better though than the Master Jedi of the Loving Ways, Kit Fisto. I'm just gonna put that out there. That's a real character name. Is Kit Fisto.
You're kidding.
No, he is the green guy who looks kind of like a squid in the new 3 movies in the prequels.
The guy like when they land in the little like battle arena and he's fighting in there. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
He's in some of the Jedi Council scenes too. But I kid you not.
Oh, that's right.
His name is Kit Fisto.
So this one I have is I titled Jedi Knight Peanut Butter Mouth Explains the Bosses. So here we go.
I can't abide this creature named Bok. He is one of the few that actually uses 2 lightsabers in battle. He is a crude individual that lacks both tact and teeth. His heavy brow overshadows the empty recesses that normally embrace eyes. Jarek has the uncanny power to absorb and overshadow one's connection to the Force. Like a dark cloud. A deep, empowering grasp of your will is what you need.
You cannot defeat me.
So, that was really long, and I don't know why that one was so quiet when all the rest of them weren't so quiet.
I like that sound in the background, just the.
What sound was in the
The
background?
lightsaber.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant my Skype was messing
No,
up.
it's like the hologram sound.
It added to the dialogue.
Where's
No,
my...
like
oh.
again, the best part is like he lacks teeth, and then he makes fun of some guy for having too large of a brow. Like,
I know.
forgot
I thought that was
racist
really
way.
funny. I don't know why he explained it that way. I don't know, like, what that voice... Because, like, the rest of the voice acting was cheesy, but for the time it was good, and, like, the acting was pretty good for, like, other, like,
for an FMV.
licensed games. Yeah, for FMV and other licensed games, it was certainly no worse than, Command and Conquer or than any of the other games that had FMV at the time.
Yeah, Red Alert 2 had like the best FMVs
I
ever.
don't know,
Yeah.
man.
I
Mark
actually like
Hamill was
Tiberian
Wing
Sun.
Commander.
Mark Hamill was pretty good in Wing Commander. Okay, so this was another one that I had. I was surprised to see this call out because we weren't famous yet when this game was made, but this was in here, so that was pretty surprising.
Oh, whenever I need to find you, you're always in some kind of trouble.
Jordan.
What a pleasant surprise!
What would you do without me?
Sean.
So now I was really surprised that was in there. They captured our dynamic. They captured our dynamic really perfectly.
I mean,
so...
to be fair, we are always in trouble. It's true.
Except for why would a woman ever be talking to Jordan?
He has a girlfriend.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I was just doing a high voice to confuse him.
I was gonna say, for those of you who don't know, that was actually Jessica's first acting gig. It was also her last acting gig.
Oh my god. Okay. So the last thing that I have here is some of the end of the game dialogue that I wanted to capture really quick.
That's theme music, not dialogue.
This is gonna cost you a great load of money you don't have.
As long as I'm around to pay you, I don't care.
My sentiments exactly.
Mine too.
So
I'm not gonna lie, that was porno dialogue.
I'm sad I didn't put the
They ran out of
porno
budget.
music after it now. Now that you said that, Josh.
Do you have enough to pay me? Yes, my sentiments exactly. Mine too. Like, come on, man. You know.
I also kind of have the feeling, I don't know if this is in the extended universe, I kind of feel like that Twi'lek was like the son of like Jar Jar Binks and a Twi'lek. It's like somewhere in there. Maybe that's why he didn't have teeth and his voice was so messed up.
George
So,
Lucas was
yeah.
like, that guy. We need more of that guy in the next movie.
He saw this game and he was like,
This game is pathetic.
Hey, you want to know a random Star Wars fact?
No.
You know
Yes.
the little Muppet that lives on Jabba the Hutt's shoulder? You know the little thing that laughs and he goes, so it laughs like Jordan? Yeah, do you know it has a
Yeah.
name?
yeah,
Did you know its name is Salacious B. Crumb?
yes.
I just...
Wait,
And that makes
you
me
knew
happy.
that?
Yes, I
Yeah.
did.
I mean, Sean knew that already.
Yeah, I did. They talked about it on a podcast that I was listening to before.
He tells the story a lot, too. Yeah, he's got a ridiculous amount of backstory on him, too.
Right?
See, this is what's so great about the Star Wars extended universe, is like, there's only these 6 movies to pull from, and really there's only the 3 movies to pull from, for most of the extended universe. And so, they just end up, you know, writing 12 books about, like, how, like, you know, what's his name, bounty hunter that I don't like, Boba Fett, didn't die and he climbed back out of the Sarlacc pit and had all these adventures, and about how like Salacious B. Crumb needs a backstory, and just like that's what's so great about the Star Wars extended universe, is it is like people that are so into something that they like take the most minor tiny character that's in like 3 seconds of the movie and write entire book series about them. Like, it's so interesting to me. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, I think that like, you know, I see that stuff. Well, you see that stuff really only in Star Wars. I mean, like, there are so many books just
It's
about
so true.
the universe.
Like, there are random books for others, like Warcraft, there's a bunch of lore books and stuff, but nothing, and like Magic the Gathering, there are books, but
Oh, God.
none of them go nearly as deep as like Star Wars goes, and it's like crazy how much people have fleshed out that universe.
We have
Yeah,
to go
Yeah,
see
maybe-
Star Wars stuff
Maybe like D&D has a universe that's as big, but like a lot of the stuff, like, you know, the only reason that there are Warcraft books or Starcraft books or any of that other stuff is because of the Star Wars fan universe. Like, they proved that like that extended universe stuff can be profitable and that there's an audience for it, and you know, all that kind of stuff. Like, all of that is just people trying to cash in on like communities like that afterwards. And not that they're bad. I think, you know, I read some of the Magic the Gathering books when I was a kid and they were pretty good, and you know, I still love, I think Fall of Reach is one of my favorite books ever, and that's a, you know, Halo book, and I think it's really, really good. So,
You guys should,
I'm
you
into
guys
that
should read
stuff.
you should read the fan fictions I've been writing about the 5 on the 5 guys.
I hope you're saucy.
Well, since Jordan's not here, he's not here to make fun of the fact that we're talking about that, so that's good.
Did you know Jordan hates Star Wars?
Yeah, Jordan hates Star Wars. That's really sad. It makes me sad that he doesn't like Star Wars.
Does.
I'm sure that he quote unquote was really busy for this show, but that's okay. We got
Right.
John instead, which is way better.
Yeah,
So
Right.
now we're gonna move on to the segment of the show when I get to the clip. That's called our quick attacks.
Pikachu use quick attack.
Okay, so this is the quick attack segment of the show where we talk about games that you have been playing, or a game that you've been playing since we last met. I'm gonna
Or
let
the
Skylar
game that
go
we've all been
first.
playing.
Yeah, except for I don't think John's played it. So Skylar, why don't you go first? Just talk about Bioshock. No spoilers here. No spoilers
Thank
at
you.
all. But let's just talk really quick about it.
Bioshock Infinite is the game I played. I played it. It's actually been a while since I played it because I played it with a woman who I happen to be associated with, and we played it like
That's
in
so
the
cute
first.
that you and Jordan. That's so cute that you and Jordan played it together.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we played it and beat it in like the first 4 days, and it was amazing. Bioshock 1 was like the first modern PC game I ever played because I got like really into consoles after I finished playing Freddy the Fish, Putt Putt, and Lenny's Amazing Circus. So those are all old PC games for the record. So then Bioshock came out, and that was like the first FPS computer game I ever played, and so it's been my favorite game for like my whole life. And so this has been, and I didn't like Bioshock 2 like at all, so I've been hyping this game forever. I've been so excited for it, and I was really worried that if it disappointed me, I'd be pissed and then like hate all Bioshock forever. But it didn't, and it's one of the best games I've ever played, and everyone definitely needs to play it. The writing is like there's so much great writing that Josh, I'm sure, will agree with me on that. Some of the writing in that game is some of the best writing that's been in video games.
Especially the Lutece twins.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, okay,
So,
Josh, you want to talk about your Bioshock stuff really quick?
No, I'll just leave it at that. I think that Bioshock's one of the few times where the writing is so much better than the gameplay. I didn't actually like most of the shooting mechanics in the game at all.
I disagree. I thought they were really good, and I usually hate shooting mechanics, so I don't know. I think you need to play it, make your own decision, people.
I think no matter what, you should play it.
Yes.
I think that's a fair statement, is that I love first-person shooters, and even though I didn't find Bioshock Infinite very satisfying as a shooter, oh my god, it's still what a good game. Like, there's no reason not to play it. That's not.
Scott and I argued about this a ton before the show about how I thought it was more satisfying than shooters, and he didn't think the gameplay was very satisfying. But we will not argue that now.
No, I just want to clarify that like all of my issues that I have with this game like make it a 9 instead of a 10. Like,
I think that's what anyone who's complaining about it is saying ever. Like, is that this game is so close to being near perfect that like they have to mention what makes it not.
But like my issue was that first 45 minutes where you're just exploring the city and whatever was probably the best video game experience I've ever had, and I don't use that lightly. Like, I am 100% serious that it is amazing. That I wish there were more exploratory moments, and it felt like they rested too hard on the shooter stuff in the last like 3 or 4 levels.
You just wanted to play Dear Esther for 8.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, I guess I understand the time limitations and the fact that like to flesh out an area with that much explorable stuff is much more time consuming and difficult than just creating a battle arena and spawning enemies.
I thought all the areas had tons of explorable stuff.
We can talk. Yeah, we're not gonna. Well, it's kind of all of ours. It's the 3 of ours all put together. So I'm not gonna do one. So that's I just want to say I think it's an interesting game. I think it's worth playing. And yeah, that's what I want to say. Okay, Josh, give us your real quick attack.
My real quick attack, and before I feel I need a caveat on this, I did not purchase this game. Somebody purchased it for me.
Before it's a hentai game.
No, it's actually much more embarrassing than that. It's Aliens Colonial Marines.
Oh god, that is much more embarrassing.
So somebody bought it for me as a gift, and we've been playing through it together. And, there's just so much wasted potential here. And I don't need to beat a dead horse. If you've been on the internet at all around when it came out, you should know what's up with Aliens Colonial Marines. But it's a damn shame because there's so much potential there. And as you play through it, you can see, what they had as an idea. And somewhere along the way, things went horribly, horribly wrong. And it's just too bad.
Well, I don't think that, I think that things went wrong with it, and to be fair, I've only watched gameplay videos of other people playing it. I have not bought the game. But I don't think it's that things went horribly wrong for the studio. I think it's that Bioshock. I think it's that Borderlands, which is also one of my favorite games of all time, was such a surprise success that they were just like, well, shit. now we've got to work on a Borderlands 2 that's got to be way bigger and fix all these problems that people have, even though they all love this game. And what are we going to do with this game that we got before Borderlands and like had all these great ideas for we can't do anything with?
And one of the issues was that this game got ping-ponged back and forth between 3 studios. And that is a very real issue, is that, a lot of it was developed by one and then it got shunted over to another, and it's kind of too many cooks in the kitchen sort of thing. And I think, one of the other really big issues is that a lot of people blasted it for saying, it's not aliens enough or it's not scary or whatever, but to me the problem is it's just not a good game. It's not fun to play. And while I respect Gearbox for releasing patch after patch trying to make it playable, it's still not a fun game.
Yeah. So we went from the highest highs to the lowest lows. Evan, what's your quick attack?
Oh man, that's tough. I haven't been really playing a lot of new games recently. I'm trying to hold myself out because I have so much work to do this semester that I'm trying not to get distracted by other games.
COD blobs.
COD blobs.
So I'm probably just going to go with XCOM Enemy Unknown that obviously Mr. Sean Cannell gave to me for my birthday.
Was that your last quick attack?
No, I think I did Red Faction Armageddon for my last.
Yeah, you did. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I actually have more time to play XCOM, and it's still awesome. And I played the demo way back, and I thought it was awesome, and I never got the chance. And then Sean was amazing and got it for my birthday, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
if I haven't said that already.
That game is so good.
It really is.
If you for some reason don't want to play Bioshock, go play XCOM Enemy Unknown, and I'll bet you during like the summer sale or something that's going to be pretty cheap, and you should
definitely
pick that up when you can.
I still have not managed to beat it yet.
Really, you haven't beat it? That's
I only play on Iron Man Impossible or Iron Man Classic.
That explains that then.
I only play so I have to play forever, because if I ever beat it, my life will be horrible.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh man. Okay, so John, what's a? Oh, sorry.
I don't know why. Once in a while, I hate myself when I play a game like that.
Kind of like playing Dead Space 2 on whatever Insane or whatever it was.
Yeah, I did that twice on hardcore.
And but then you got the foam finger gun, so it made it worth it.
Yeah, and I did it on 3 as well. Oh, I need better.
Oh, you did it on 3. Wow, I'm sorry for your loss. John, what's a game that you've been playing?
I've been revisiting old school Tetris, trying to work through the storyline. I'm stuck. I keep waiting for the fall of communism, and it's not coming.
Oh god, and that reminds me of a game I've actually been playing that's not Bioshock, which is Super Turbo Puzzle Fighter HD Remix 2, which is like Street Fighter Battle Tetris, and it's amazing too. Any battle Tetris.
There's an actual game that has a longer title than Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2.
Yes. You mean every Street Fighter game?
No, do you know what the longest game title is? This is very serious. It was a fighting game that came out for the Dreamcast.
Barkley, Shut Up and Jam, Gaiden, whatever.
That doesn't count because that's intentionally a long
I disagree with you.
There's a Dreamcast game called Virtual Lawn Cyber Troopers Oratorio Tangram.
Speaking of totally random things, I discovered an amazing game the past week that I had no idea existed. That's basically Cartoon Network Super Smash Brothers that came out on like all the modern systems very recently.
What's it called?
I can't remember. It's like Cartoon Planet, Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion.
Sounds amazing.
There's like Dexter and Powerpuff Girls and Samurai Jack. It has like Billy and Mandy and Mojo Jojo, Johnny Bravo.
Jojo!
Okay. All right, so this is the longest Quick Tech ever. So let's talk about everybody's 2 cents wrap-up. Skylar, why don't you give us your 2 cents wrap-up of Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2.
Good game to speedrun, good game to play. But I'd rather be playing Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion.
Good. That's always the right choice. If you can play that, that's always the right choice. Evan, what's your 2 cents wrap up?
It was fun and kind of silly, and the FMVs are awesome.
Awesome. John, what's your 2-sentence wrap-up of this game that I don't want to say the title of again because it's too long?
I feel like the romance was a little drawn out and the sex scenes were not what they could have been, but overall the ability to force choke your partner is definitely a plus.
Can we replace Jordan with John
Holy
forever?
crap. Just come on for every 1-sentence segment.
There's a quote for the front of the box. We're gonna put that on the front of the. It's gonna be like blown away IGN and then John's summary of the game.
Again, can we just have John every week?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, okay. Let's let Jordan. We'll do a public press release that Jordan's fired. And that's how we'll let him out.
Remember, I've got his amulet. He can't come back onto the show until he defeats me again.
Okay, good. And you're much bigger than him, so I doubt that will ever happen.
Plus, John runs a company where he literally makes things in a workshop. I'm pretty sure he can make any sort of hidden weapons he wants to.
Still working on a lightsaber. I can kind of club him with a beanie baby.
That's an obituary that I would love. I think that would be great. Okay, Josh, what's your 2-sentence wrap-up?
The world's greatest door opening and person in the face shooting simulator ever created involving force powers.
Oh, I was going to say, because if you didn't put the involving force powers, then it would just be Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Goblobs!
You have way too much fun saying that, Skylar.
Shut up.
I feel like we do a lot of Call of Duty hating on this show. I played Modern Warfare a lot, so
I'd like to point out that I have I thought I had a lot of 64 hours logged in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer, so as did I.
I actually find Call of Duty
Evan
fun.
did.
I just like saying COD blocks.
That should be like a dubstep song.
Evan, get on that.
Okay.
I like that was like the German version of a beat. Like,
Yeah.
oots, oots, oots.
Oots.
Dom.
Oh man, that makes me happy. Okay, so reader feedback. You can email us at 5on5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at 5on5podcast to know when shows go live and if we're going to be streaming. You can give us feedback on the show, suggestions for improvements. Tell us your memories of the games that we've played, what you experienced in your playthrough, anything. Send us emails, or you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/5on5gaming podcast. That's probably the place where the most active is our Facebook.
One thing, which is the drawing that I forgot to do, and by that I mean forgot, I mean we need to do it now. Because I said I'd give someone a game in condolences for us not having a podcast.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Granted, only 3 people responded.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
Okay, Skylar, give away your game.
I'm on random.org, true random number generator between 1 and 3, because there were only 3 people who commented. We'll go from top to bottom. So Levin is 1, Candy Bacon Mundo is 2, which I'm hoping is his legal name, and Raid Suleiman is 3. So boom! 1, Levin Thompson wins La Mulana, or the game.
We love our fans, but not enough to know how to pronounce their names right, apparently. Good job, Skylar.
Only Skylar, though.
I don't like anyone.
Okay, so that's
Levin,
the end of the
message me on
show.
Facebook and tell me what game you want if you don't want La Mulana.
Okay, yeah,
We
fair
should
enough.
probably
Send
tell
us a
them
message.
what game we're playing next.
That's what I was just going to say before I got
Awesome.
rudely interrupted by Skylar. Our next game is going to be 2006's Guilty Gear X2. Is it Reload or Reloaded? I think
Reload.
Yeah. Guilty Gear X2 #Reload.
Status maximum.
Which we're going to play on GOG for $6. So pick that up. It's going to be our first fighting game. I've never played this game before, so I'm excited. And there we go.
And we're gonna play the
logged hundreds of hours on Guilty Gear. I can tell you that it is the best fighting series ever created.
Wait, you have, Josh?
Absolutely.
We're playing online all day, motherfucker.
Okay,
Yeah, dude.
you
I own
two
all of
need to
them
have a
active
showdown
games.
on stream. This is going to happen. We're going to do
I'm
a
in.
stream showdown. The
Hell
winner
yeah.
of it's going to win something. It's going to be awesome. We'll do it. We'll give you guys like the 2 weeks to like prepare, and then maybe that like Friday night we'll do like a Friday night showdown or something.
Down.
This is going to be
my God.
awesome. I'm so
Can
excited
we
for
obtain
this.
a world record large vegetable? Because that's
Yeah,
really
you can
all I
find-
desire in life.
You can find a vegetable record in 2006 to talk about. You have plenty of time to research before that.
No, that's what I want to win as my prize for beating Josh.
Oh, you want to win a record-sized vegetable? Yeah, you can do that. That'll be great. Okay, so that's the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us. John, thank you for being on the show with us. I really appreciated having you here.
Happy to be here.
Do you have a witty one-liner to end the show with?
Peace up, A-Town down!
420 braise it.
Oh god, and the show always devolves right at the end. Yeah, and then we fade out to music.
I decided to record this because I cannot get this song out of my head. It might be a minor spoiler for Bioshock if you haven't played it, but it's in like the first 45 minutes probably. But I thought I'd throw this arrangement of God Only Knows by the Mighty Wind. Go support them because I love barbershop quartets and this song is awesome.
I may not always love you, but long as there are stars above you, you never need to doubt it. I'll make you so sure about it. God only knows what I'd be without you. Ever leave me, though life would still go on, believe me, the world could show nothing to me. So what good would living do me? God only knows what I'd be without you. God only knows what I'd be without you. Oh, I may not always love you, but long as there are stars above you, you never need to doubt it. I'll make you so sure about it.